This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome back, everyone. So we have looked into some of the ways in which you can depict the requirements till now, right? As continuation to this, we'll look into the next point, which is flowchart. Most of you might have already learned about it back in your college, or you might have already been using it in your current work. So I won't spend much time on the flowchart. So in this particular video, we'll look into the flowchart, a little bit of information about it, and quickly we'll move into something called as the RACI matrix. We'll try to cover these two concepts in this particular segment. Okay. So for the uninitiated, okay, what is flowchart all about? It's nothing but a graphical representation of a process. Like what are the steps which are part of a particular process? Where do you start? Where do you end? Is there any particular section where you need to, take a decision, and based on that you need to branch out your set of actions, or are there any set of things which need to be done in a repeated manner, or sometimes you need your systematic input, sometimes you need a manual inputs. So all those things you try to put it in a diagrammatic format. That is what is known as a flowchart. Okay, so typically if you see, sorry, uh, yeah, typically if you see, the basic symbols which you can start with your flowchart would be something like this. You will start and end your flowchart diagram with a rounded rectangle, or you call it an oval. Okay, that is the thing. Then you use the arrows to connect all the different boxes. And if there's an input or output required in the system, you use a parallelogram. And if there's a process in related step, you put a rectangle. And if there's a decision involved, then you use this diamond box. Okay, so this is typically the basic symbols which are used. If you talk about a process where you need to really call out a lot many other steps, then you might go for a lot additional steps, or lot additional symbols. So this is just a sort of a snapshot of the wider options that you have in terms of displaying graphically about the different types of things that can happen in a particular process. For example, something like this, when you talk about a loop, then you might use this symbol. And when you talk about, your flowchart is running too lengthy, and you have to, show a part of that flowchart in one particular page, and the next in the next page, then what you do in the first page, at the end of your set of steps, you use this connector, and in the next page you repeat this connector, and below that you continue with the remaining steps. That is something you use. So all of these things are like, for database you use this particular option. You would have come across these things somewhere or the other, usually in some process or the other. If not, you can look at some examples and get a better idea. In fact, let me show you a very basic example which can again be related to what we have in our running example. So if you talk about a food delivery app, a very high level, I mean, this particular flowchart that you're using, or that you're seeing, is at the highest level possible. Each and every step in this can be split into multiple options. Login can further have a detailed flowchart for itself. Search menu can have a detailed flowchart for itself. All those things are possible. This is just to give you an idea. So what is happening here? You see start and an end having this particular oval boxes. Then you have the normal process steps which are shown in the rectangles, and then you have this arrow which is connecting your different boxes, and then you have the decision section here. What is this decision all about? You're saying the process starts with a login from the home page, and here, has the customer logged in or not? That is the decision step. If the customer is logged in, what should happen next? You should be able to search for the menu, then search for the food item, add item to cart, place order, and send SMS notification. Stop. This is what happens if the customer has already logged in. What if the customer has not logged in? Then what happens? You need to take them to the new registration section. There, you ask the customer to enter the inputs, create the account, select a password, and all those things will happen in the new registration. Once the customer does that, then again goes back to home page and then clicks on login, uses the credentials which he has or she has created just a few minutes back as part of the registration process, and then goes through the remaining steps. So this is what a flowchart is all about. The more you want to show the details, the more detailed the flowchart can become, the more lengthier it can become, so on and so forth. So this is what a flowchart is all about. So This is what I just want to give you an idea that you can use this also as part of your requirements documentation process. In fact, you can use it for your requirements elicitation process also. Like once you conduct the first few sessions for your business requirements understanding, then what happens, once you are clear with the business requirements, you create a flowchart, say that these are the major steps that would be considered, and then get their inputs, close it, and then get into each and every section and get further details and analyze it accordingly. Okay, so that is what flowchart is all about. Now let's look at what is a RACI matrix. So here, if you see, RACI matrix is nothing but, this is again used in a lot of companies. It's not something which is specific to the IT industry. So it is a matrix which is used to define the roles and responsibilities. Like within a project, there is a huge team, and in the team, you will have your project manager, you'll have your design team, you'll have your testers, you'll have your stakeholders, you'll have your, the developers, and a lot of other people can be part of it. Okay, in such a scenario, whenever a particular task is there, the person who is supposed to work on it would be one. The person who is going to be accountable to make sure that it is getting done in the specific timelines and all would be some other person. Then the person who would be consulted, okay, the one who can provide the required information for it would be someone else. And the set of people who should be informed about what is happening in terms of getting the updates, being aware of where are we right now and all those things would be some other people altogether. So you just abbreviate these four roles and call it as the RACI matrix. So what happens here? You will say responsible, accountable, C for consulted, and I for informed. So these are the four roles. Responsible is responsible for doing the task and making decisions. Accountable, who is responsible for completion of a task. So for example, a developer is the person who is responsible for completing a piece of code. But who will be held accountable would be the project manager, right? That way. Consultant, who will assist in ensuring that the required information and all is available to complete the task. And as I mentioned earlier, informed is all about who would be affected by the outcome of the task so that they are aware of where are we right now and all. Let's take an example of an IT project and see how a RACI matrix would look like. So if you look at it, here, of course, we have the list of, tasks or deliverables on as, specific rows. And here in the columns, you have the roles or the designations of the people. Like, you have in a typical project, you might have your senior analyst, project manager, head of design, the senior vice president of the finance team, the SEO lead, sales director, senior management. Just as a random example that has been picked up. Okay. Now here, if you see, for example, let me talk about the user journey. Okay. Now, if we talk about user journey as a specific task, okay. So here you see these letters, right? What are these? So here, if you see, R stands for responsible, right? So when we talk about the user journey, the head of design is the person who would be responsible to ensure that the user journey is created properly. Okay. Now, who is the one who would be accountable for it? Here, I don't see any A, but you can in fact assign R, comma A for the head of design. The head of design would be the person who would be accountable for it also. And maybe it's a very crucial project, so the head of design is himself or herself being involved in the regular, whatever task related to that particular project. Okay. Now then you see something called as C. C stands for what? Consulted, right? So here if you see for the user journey, who all are consulted? The project manager is one. Then you have your SEO lead. Then you have your sales director, and you have your senior management. So all these people are consulted, means those are the set of people with whom the head of design, who is responsible for this particular user journey, would be discussing, getting the information, and based on that, the user journey would be created. And then you have two roles who are having their a responsibility of being the informed people. Who are they? The senior analyst and your SVP of finance. Okay, so these are the people who are informed on a regular basis that okay, this is what we have done, these are the things that you are considering, these are the risk that we have identified, and this is what the end timelines could be. Okay, so this is how you create a RACI matrix. Now, there could be a question like, do we really need to create a RACI matrix in our project? Ideally, this will come into picture when the company, the client for which you're working, is for the first time involved in this particular topic type of project with your company. Because at that point of time what happens is the assurance level and all could be a little not as strong as it should be. So there what happens is your project manager, it need not even be the business analyst, but it could be your project manager who designs such a matrix and says that yes, this is the work that you are assigned to us and this is how we are going to do. Maybe according along with RACI matrix, there could be some SLAs that would be discussed, and the escalation matrix that could be discussed. All those things can be additional on top of the RACI matrix, which will be created by the project manager and shared across with the stakeholders, saying, your work is in safe hands. We are definitely going to deliver as per the timelines that we have agreed upon. And over and above that, to give you the required confidence, we have come up with a RACI matrix like this, which tells you all the major tasks that are there in this particular project and who are the set of people who would be responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. Okay, that gives the stakeholders also a sort of a sort of a belief that okay, we can be sure that this work will get done as per the expectations. So that is the major purpose of having a RACI matrix. Okay, so I'm assuming that things are clear till here. Okay, so we'll close this video. We'll meet with the next one in the next segment. Thanks everyone.